What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 ReZero Season 3. This is episode 12, and with me, as always, I have Bluespade.
Yeah. So this entire episode is basically just the conclusion of the Subaru and the Regulus fight. Um, Pretty much with Subaru realizing how Regulus's authority works is that he uses his wives as a way to keep himself he keeps himself invulnerable by imprinting like some, I don't know, whatever it is, like his part of his heart into all 53 of his other wives. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the only way to, like, I guess, to dispel it is, to either remove that curse or authority completely from their hearts, or just kill them. So,
Yeah,
Emilia tries to convince them, like, to turn against Regulus, and eventually they all admit that they absolutely hate the guy. But it gets to the point where or every single one of them consider committing suicide. But Amelia prevents this by instead stopping their hearts by completely freezing them inside the church.
yeah. Also, I guess we should point out that I guess we didn't get her name until now, but it's Sylphie, the one of the wives that was talking with Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was interesting seeing her like actually show emotion for once, considering also her and all the other wives, like they just pretty much act robotic the whole time, I guess, because they're just so terrified of Regulus.
Yeah.
So they never really like display any kind of emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. So if yeah.
Well, yeah. Like when I first saw the episode too, like my initial theory was that the way they would stop the wives' hearts would be like, well, I know obviously Subaru couldn't do anything, but I was thinking like, I guess I didn't really consider it because of Amelia's ice power, she could just freeze them. But I was also thinking, which does of course end up happening later in the episode anyway, that Subaru could somehow use the unseen hand to stop their hearts. But the problem with that is that he would probably need like multiple unseen hands just to stop all of their hearts. Like, I mean, I don't know how that would work. But,
Yeah, I mean, Subaru is currently inexperienced at using this type of ability, and even when he uses it to get rid of whatever that thing is in Amelia's heart, he ends up passing out from exhaustion. So there would be no way for him to use that with all 53 other of the wives, without really, I guess, really either tiring himself out or killing himself.
Yeah. So while this is happening, like Subaru is basically trying to keep Regulus occupied, and just somehow avoiding Regulus's attacks that would easily kill him. But I think Regulus is just kind of, it seems like he's not really taking it seriously. Like he's not really trying to kill Subaru. Instead, he seems like he just wants to vent to Subaru and just like complain, which is kind of how he is for the most of the fight. It just seems like he's not really seriously like trying to go after them. He's just like wanting to complain about everything, I guess, and that he's not getting what he deserves or whatever.
Yeah, and it eventually, it all works against him once, once the wives' hearts all stop beating, and of course, with Subaru removing that thing in Emilia's heart, it completely leaves Regulus vulnerable to every sort of attack, that's being dished out at him, to the point where Emilia just completely wails on him by punching him like 53 times.
I don't know if you thought this, but when I don't know if that was like a JoJo reference where she was just like,
it has to be a JoJo reference because people are already making jokes on that whole sequence.
Yeah. Either that or I think it was like Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, that too. I mean, people are online are already just pointing this out. I mean, it's more or less similar in a sense, the way Emilia had ended up wailing on the guy, and of course it all ends completely once Reinhardt returns by, well, he comes back by leaping off the freaking moon, uh, which honestly I don't even
But
know.
even before this happened, like you see, I guess the reflection of like fire in Subaru's eyes. I kept wondering like, what the hell is that? And then you see Reinhardt just show up.
Yeah, I mean, like he leaves a freaking crater on the moon, so it's like, I mean,
Apparently, I guess what happened is that he got sent into space and he bounced from the moon and went all the way back down to Earth.
I mean,
Uh,
you would think he would suffocate from going that high from
yeah,
in that far into space, but of course, with him and his divine whatever it is, keeping him basically just invincible in any way possible. He just like just finishes the job by basically just like sending Regulus up near the atmosphere and then just kicking him down down into the ground, just basically just breaking every bone in his body. And Regulus just tries to crawl out with whatever, I don't know, he tries like he's tries to slither out of the hole that that he's in, until like all the water from the canal starts pouring onto him and he ends up drowning to death.
yeah. And of course, like when this happens, you see like his heart beat multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that maybe this might be the last we see of Regulus, but you never know. I guess with the Sand Archbishops is that he might find some way to get out of it. But I mean, for now, it seems like he's pretty much like, I mean, he's not really gonna get out of that anytime soon.
Yeah.
Another thing we should point out too is that when Subaru grabbed Emilia's heart, she felt the presence of Geese, and she thinks that she remembers, or she vaguely remembers, I guess, who Regulus might have been, but she can't really, I guess, remember specifically like what happened.
Yeah. Of course, shortly before Regulus drowns, by the time the fight ends, he finally remembers Emilia being where he was when he fought Geese, and of course he also fought Fortuna, like I think a century ago. So,
Yeah.
but of course Emilia doesn't remember Regulus for whatever reason. So yeah, that's pretty much the end, I guess, assuming if that is the end of Regulus. And then there is a post-credit scene in which we see Garfield freeing himself with the whatever fleshy like blob that Capella trapped him in, and of course fuck, I forgot.
Wilhelm.
Yeah, Wilhelm fighting his wife. So I guess we're the next episode we're going to be picking up on that fight.
Yeah, I like how this episode just pretty much just focused on Subaru versus Regulus, as well as the Emilia trying to free all the wives, and didn't really like focus on all the other stuff that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good idea because yeah, but I don't know. I'm wondering if it's going to be like that for the other fights as well.
Yeah,
I mean, because we also have like 2 or 3 different other things that are happening with the other Sin Archbishops.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of did the same thing with the Priscilla and Sirius fight in the last episode. Of course, it did focus on the backstory of Liliana a bit. But yeah, I did. Yeah, I also did like this episode which it finally was more heavily focused on the Regulus fight, and then possibly concluding it, assuming if Regulus is dead by the end of all of this.
Yeah, I also thought that moment was interesting with Regulus sort of, I guess sort of putting down Betelgeuse in a way, or talking crap about him, like saying he was like one of the weaker San Archbishops.
Mm-hmm.
Because Subaru like says that he killed one of them before. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I guess that they consider Betelgeuse to be like one of the weaker ones.
I mean, of course, he wouldn't even know that Subaru has the return by death ability, because he's despite like Betelgeuse being, I guess, labeled as being the weakest. I mean, Subaru still had a hard time trying to deal with the guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that. Yes, and also not to mention, like, I mean, he also had help as well, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I thought, yeah, it was a really good episode. I definitely like at some points the animation was pretty good too, especially like when he brought out the unseen hands. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, every episode has been consistently good. I don't think there's been a bad one so far. And I mean, this one, it also felt like it was maybe a little bit longer. I guess maybe because there was no opening. And I like how they did that. You know, it seems like with ReZero, they're consistently good at just kind of utilizing the time they have, and or, you know, with each episode, and trying to adapt at least the important stuff, or most of it. But yeah, aside from that though, I don't really have much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I like this episode, considering that, like I said, it does, I guess, in a way, conclude the Regulus fight, unless they somehow bring him back in some, awkward manner. But yeah, there's no way he's coming back from that, considering the position he's in, unless they it inadvertently made him invincible again after Emilia, brought back or thought out the 53 wives in the church. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to the next episode, of them following up with all the other characters that that they that they have to hold out on for the past 3 episodes or so.
I just thought about something too. Like, I mean, we know that Subaru physically was able to remove that part of Regulus from Emilia's heart, but all Emilia really did, as far as I understand it, was freeze all the wives, at least, so that Regulus was vulnerable in that moment. But now that the wives are free again, that part of him, as far as I know at least, is still attached to their hearts, so they haven't actually removed that. So, I mean, that being the case, I guess it's possible Regulus could still actually be alive, if you think about it like that. But,
yeah, I mean, every bone in his body is practically broken, and then he's also drowning inside that hole filled with water.
But I'm guessing as long as his heart is still connected to all of them, he will still somehow live. But I guess the only way to stop him, or actually kill him, would be to physically remove that part of his heart from the wives. Yeah. Unless there's something I'm missing. But as far as I understand it, all Emilia did was freeze them so that the heart would temporarily not, or his heart would temporarily not work.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless they have some way to keep Regulus, down in that hole for some amount of time, and then they can bear that by the end.
That's the only other alternative I can think of, is like kind of imprisoning him where he can't get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.